Hey guys, today we're going to talk about something that I'm probably not going to do a whole lot of, but I do really like these guys and I have a fair few examples of it. But anyway, I want to talk today about Mojave ball pythons. I don't want to get too much into a video about every single different type of gene because that's just not really what I want to do. But I do really like Mojave ball pythons a lot, and I feel like that we could talk a little bit about that today. So, the Mojave ball python, it's not one of the first, but it's pretty old in like the history of ball python genetics. It's an incomplete dominant. Oh, here we go. We're starting off with Maya. We don't have just a normal single gene ball python that is a Mojave. She is a ghost Mojave, and I'll talk about that in just a second. So, as I was saying, it's an incomplete dominant trait, which means that if you breed it to a normal, half of them are going to be a Mojave, half of them are going to be normal. I don't have any just, regular single gene Mojave ball pythons. So I'm going to get with one that looks the closest to one, and that is Maya here. She's the ghost Mojave. And so that means she's the incomplete dominant Mojave, and then she's ghost, which is a visual recessive of a hypoline. She can be a bit cantankerous at times. So that's why I'm not going to have her out too long, but I just wanted to introduce the ball python here. The hypo, it's the reduction of melanin. So normally in the Mojave balls, they're not quite this brown. They're more of a darker color. And depending on the type of Mojave, you can even get some that have this like gold blushing kind of right here that is a lot more prominent. We're going to put her away right now, and then I'm going to bring up the next one. I just want to introduce this one that this is the closest looking to just a normal Mojave ball python. This is Glacier, which that is technically for Glacier National Park. We've done a couple different themes of naming all the snakes, and since we've moved on from Roman numerals to 50 states, now we're on to the national parks of North America, and then we have another one that I'm going to do for some of our North American colubrids. We'll talk about that later in another video. But Glacier here is a GHI Mojave ball python. So that means that he is a combo, a two-gene animal of two incomplete dominant traits. The GHI, which stands for gotta have it, and then the Mojave. So in the regular GHI, it's a really busy pattern with a lot of like chocolates, and then it has a different kind of dorsal stripe. But when you put the Mojave into there, the pattern gets a little bit disrupted, and you can see it has some of like the Mojave like little alien head kind of pattern on the sides, and then it gets a little bit more of like a sometimes they can be almost solid striped down their dorsal. And these guys look really cool. And unfortunately, Maya, who I just had out before, she had problems with egg binding before, and that required surgery. And I don't want to risk her life and breeding her again, so she's just kind of a grumpy pet now. But when you put Ghost into this, these guys can end up looking really cool to where instead of this kind of like chocolatey color, it'll be almost gray. So it'll be almost like a black and white gray scale snake with this pattern, which looks super cool. But either way, I still really like these. GHI is one of my other favorite genes, but I like what Mojave does to a lot of different genes and patterns. So I think that, a lot of the ball python stuff these days is more about not only just combo, but a lot of the recessive stuff like clown and desert ghosts getting really popular again and other stuff like that. But I think Mojave can be taken a lot of ways because it's a very versatile snake. Number one, it not only is part of this huge complex called the blue-eyed leucistic complex or the Bell complex, where if you put a Mojave to one of a number of other patterns, you get the blue-eyed leucistic snakes, which everybody loves, but they're also part of a lot of allelic combinations. Like, for instance, you put it to a mystic, then you get the mystic potion, which is that kind of grayish purple snake with that light yellow gold dorsal stripe. Anyway, I'm going to show you another fun little thing what the Mojave pattern does to other genes. This is Tucson. Tucson is a huge male. He is a leopard Mojave. So leopard is kind of a wonky one where it can be very polymorphic, where the pattern can be very clean, it can be very busy, has a lot of different things that can be weird about that. But Mojave, you can see the influences of Mojave in that. You can see that kind of like that alien head looking thing on the side. And so basically what it does is the leopard kind of jumbles up the Mojave pattern, which is kind of really cool. and I'm hoping to make a lot of leopard Mojave combos down the line. He's been paired a couple different times with a couple different females. We're going to see what kind of pops out, because when it comes to breeding ball pythons, you can have several males be the fathers in a single clutch. So we're going to see what comes out. But so as you can see, the Mojave jumbles up the leopard pattern a little bit, but you can still see a lot of the influences of the Mojave in there throughout that. And I wish I could talk a little bit more about how kind of crazy stuff that Mojave can do, but I don't have too many actual visual representations of them, because I actually don't have that many yet. We're really just getting started on doing these things. It's mostly been building up to the current number of animals that we have, mostly doing with quality over quantity, and we're going to start building from here on out. So, long game. But I'm going to show you one final little morph combo that is still a leopard Mojave, but has one more gene in there, which completely changes it. Okay, this is Reno. Remember what I said about the leopard Mojave? Well, this is a leopard Mojave pinstripe. And I know the pinstripe, it's that single gene. It's been around. It's one of the earliest. It's one of the earliest genes that came out, other than like the pastels and the spiders. It's a. I think technically it's an incomplete dominant. It's just a dominant trait. It's not the incomplete, so like spider, which means that there is no such thing as a super pinstripe. But as you can see, as compared with the leopard Mojave, when you add that pinstripe, it entirely changes up this pattern to where it's like that kind of jigsaw looking pattern on the sides. And it's a lot lighter because the pinstripe is a little bit lighter of a snake, but you can still kind of see the influence where it has that, it messes with the dorsal a little bit from the Mojave, and the pattern is kind of wonky from the leopard, and then the pinstripe just cleans it and thins the little side pattern a whole lot. Reno is has been a problem feeder for us since we got her. She's refused meals quite often. She's gone on hunger strikes quite often, but she's finally getting some good size on her. I don't think she's going to be ready to go this season, so this coming fall, but maybe next year, or maybe if we do like a late spring, we'll see how that goes. But I think she'll be really good. And so this is the leopard Mojave pinstripe. And so if you want to think about putting this into even other recessives, like in this with Desert Ghost would look amazing. Mojave pieds are usually very, very high white with limited brown markings. That's really cool. And then when you start putting in stuff like GHI, blackhead, yellow belly, then stuff gets all sorts of crazy. Like I said, I'm not going to do too many of these videos, mostly talking about like a single gene or even ball python genes, because while I do really like that stuff, I'm kind of really starting to gravitate to like single species and more like line bred and kind of oddball stuff too. I'm still going to be breeding ball pythons. I still think that they're, really good pets, but this isn't going to be the focus of a lot of these videos. It's mostly just kind of, ideas, thoughts, and educational stuff. And so these are just one that I really like personally. I've always liked the Mojave ball pythons, and so I wanted to talk a little bit about that. Maybe I'll do some in the future talking about, kind of like the history of them, like, the piebald ball python. That's the most iconic ball python. The history behind that, where it very first came into the country, the people who were involved in that, and further down the road, and so on and so forth. Let me know if you guys want to hear something about that. I know there's not too many about you, but I will say that several people have actually reached out and asked me questions about species and care and stuff. And so number one, I want to say thank you so much, not only for, reaching out to me and asking your opinion for someone who isn't quite sure about stuff, but also for just watching this content. That does actually make me feel really good. I can sit here and ramble on for days about all these things, but the fact that there are guys actually, there are people that you guys are watching these videos and taking something away from that is entirely the reason why I want to do that. Animal education is an absolute passion of mine, and hopefully that way, this can continue to grow. You guys can enjoy these videos, anything like that. Hopefully you guys can take away something from this video. If you guys have any questions, ideas about further videos, future videos, questions about the Mojaves or any of my ball pythons, let me know down in the comments. Hit me up on Facebook, Instagram, jzsreptiles. Hopefully I'll get a better email. Hopefully I'll get a website up soon. We'll see when everything kind of starts to normalize in the world. But until next time, hope you guys had a good day. You enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll check you next time.